Next up is Ryan Rothrock, a member of our men's basketball program. And I'm going to go off the script here for a quick minute and tell a story about Ryan's mom. I remember the first time we met, I was doing the broadcast, the play-by-play. This is way before we had all that video fancy stuff, but you could listen to the games. I didn't really know who was listening. One night after the game, a lady came up to me, I never met her. "Are you John Phillips?" Ooh, I'm not sure how I'm going to answer this question right now. Maybe. And she introduced herself, and Diane said how much they listened to the games back in the Chicago area, and just thanked me for what we were doing as a program. And it was kind of funny at first. I was like, man, I don't have any idea what she's going to say to me. But it was really cool to meet her and spend time with her that night and throughout Ryan's 3 years here. And I was honored to be able to be the voice of the basketball team for every game that Ryan played during his time here. It was really, really cool to be part of, because his era of Embry-Riddle basketball was awesome. And we've had a lot of awesome years, but that time frame there was really, really cool. I have another quote to share here, and it's ironic how these things kind of just pop up, you think, at random. I was preparing my notes for this I think it was Sunday night, and for those of you that are into the social media game, I might be on Twitter occasionally. And there was a quote that popped up on Twitter from Gino Oriana. He's a decent basketball coach. He's decent, right, Coach? And this was last Sunday night, and as I read the quote, I'm working, I'm taking a break and doing different things, and I read the quote from Gino. It was in his press conference that day, and I immediately read the quote, and I thought, that's Ryan Rothrock. Gino's talking about Ryan. And listen what it says. It says, "The sign of a really good player is someone who can have an impact on the game where they don't necessarily shoot it. They can do other things that help their team win." And I saw that quote pop up, and I just immediately went to Ryan Rothrock. Now, don't get me wrong, Ryan can shoot the basketball. You'll probably see some highlights and the statistic, he could shoot it. But he was that guy that helped us win in whatever way he needed to help us. And some nights it was scoring, and some nights it was doing other things, but he was a guy that helped us win. It's a pretty good team that he played with. A lot of those guys are here tonight that won a national championship, but there's no question that team that won a championship, in each of the 3 years Ryan was here, no question that he was the quarterback and the leader of that team. There's a quote here that I'll share from Kyle Moss. It says, 2 words sum up why Ryan had the career that he did. No ego. Rock came into an already successful program and made it measurably better. His attitude and work ethic infected the entire team immediately. We sprinted a little faster to keep up with Rock. We made our cuts a little cleaner to keep up with Rock. And we lifted weights a little harder because our little point guard was showing us up. He was clearly the best player on the court most nights, but he didn't dominate the game in a typical fashion. As a truly selfless point guard, he dominated the game by setting everyone else up where they could shine. It wasn't about stats to Rock. It was about winning. He developed a sixth sense with every player so that with a little eye contact, we knew where to go and knew the ball would meet us there. In the midst of intense moments in the game, there was no better feeling than when we got Rock the ball. Once it was in his hands, I knew good things were going to happen. Let's see if we can watch some good things happen in the highlight video.
When I look back at the 3 decades of basketball at Embry-Riddle, he certainly, in my opinion, is as good a leader as we've ever had in the history of our program. Confidence and discipline, strong, crazy work ethic, leadership ability, high-level communication skills, composure, humble, competitive fire. The list goes on, but probably the thing that really stands out most for me is Ryan's level of character, how much we all trust him He's just a flat-out winner in every area of his life. And I'm very proud and honored to have coached him, and even more blown away with how close we've become over the years, learning from each other. And I value his friendship.
Serving as the presenter tonight for Ryan Rothrock is Ryan's brother, Chad. Good evening. Just real quick, I was listening to most of those games, John, and as was pretty much everybody at that table over there. So, I'm Ryan's older brother, and really happy to be here tonight to present this award to Ryan. When he told me he was being inducted into the Embry-Riddle Hall of Fame and asked me to present, I thought to myself that this is a pretty cool opportunity. Don't have any friends who've ever had an experience, like this, where they could do something like this for their brother or sisters. So it's a very special evening for us. Over the last few months, since he told me this, I've had some time to think about why Ryan was so successful as a basketball player. I think there obviously are many reasons, but I want to share some of my own thoughts and opinions with you tonight. So, first of all, Ryan clearly had, this is going to might get a little embarrassing possibly, a passion for the game of basketball. He loved to play, and he would play whenever, wherever, and as often as he could. In fact, I think sometimes, or some people may have thought, well, maybe he had a little too much passion at times. We grew up together, we shared a bedroom together for many years, and Ryan could often be found sleeping with basketball. I'm not talking about a pillow, a real hard men's basketball. He was also the only kid that I knew who was somehow able to talk our parents into painting an entire bedroom wall black, and then get them to hire a professional artist to paint a red Michael Jordan Jumpman logo, life size, on top of that black wall. He wanted to be like Mike so bad. He even made a spoof Nike commercial. The "Just Do It." Well, Ryan's version of the slogan was, "We've already done it." But beyond the passion, it takes a lot more than passion to be successful, I think, at the collegiate level. Ryan clearly brought talent, teamwork, leadership skills to the table. He loved to win, but I think more importantly, he loved his teammates, and he loved his coaches, he loved the camaraderie of the team. And in fact, if you asked him, I think, about his best memories at Embry-Riddle basketball, I think he would talk to you about the friendships that he made. And many of those people are here tonight. He might also mention the national championship. Now, from our parents' example, Ryan brought the teamwork and the leadership skills. No question. He knew about the strength of a family unit. He knew about trust from my parents. And I think somehow he figured out how to apply that knowledge on the basketball court. Trust is, the most critical aspect. It's the foundation of relationships. It's one of the most important qualities of a successful leader. Without it, you You don't get commitment from people. You don't get passion and belief from your teammates, and you can't inspire them. And I just think that Ryan was an incredibly dependable teammate everywhere he played. He was a leader everywhere he played because he could be trusted and because he made those around him better. So it's my honor and privilege to present Ryan to you tonight. He's a family man. His two young boys are here, and his wife. He's a team player. He's a leader, and of course, he's a great basketball player and a fantastic brother. So, congratulations, Ryan.
So, as I was thinking about the comments I was going to make tonight over the last few weeks and months, there was really probably three things that kind of sums up why I think I'm standing here right now. And that is simply discipline, balance, and influence. And with balance, it's pretty easy. We can all understand that concept, right? Standing up and walking anywhere, you have that balance to do that. Our family, Chad hit on it, and for whatever reason, out of the six of us, it seems like I'm always up here with the light shining on me. But if I were to rank all six of us, I would be way down here at number 6. Our parents have proven to us what it means to be devoted to each other, and they just celebrated 45 years about 3 weeks ago, so congratulations to that. When our youngest sister, Trisha, was born, I was 3, and at that point, balance became real for us, right? Mom and Dad, 2 sisters, 2 boys, perfect balance. And growing up, Chad talked about some trips that we took, and you got personal with me. I'm about to get personal with you guys here in a few minutes too. But our grandparents had retired out to California, so my dad proved to us what balance really was, and would take the time out of his career to get into this little conversion band that we had that felt like a house, and actually we treated it like a house because we would drive 3 or 4 days to California and never stay in a hotel. In fact, we'd fall asleep and the wheels were rolling. We woke up and the wheels were still rolling because we stopped at a rest stop for a couple hours during the sleep, and then we'd keep going. But we would get out and spend, seemed like the whole summer, but it was probably a week or two with our grandparents in beautiful California, and my aunt and uncle, who are my godparents too, are here tonight. We'd bring their kids, our close cousins, which felt like brothers and sisters to us, and we'd spend several weeks there. My dad would fly back, by the way, and go to work to pay for us to be doing these kind of things, and then he'd fly back out a couple weeks later, and we'd drive back. He would drive. My mom never drove. He would drive 3 or 4 days again. We got to see all types of places in the country, which is, I know if you ask any 4 of us, that there's some significant memories and bonding that took place, and balance that I think was created for all of us. Just a perfect example of family. I think about playing here, and anyone who's ever been a student athlete at collegiate level, or probably high school level too, you have to have balance in your schoolwork, in your athletic career. You have to get sleep, which is underrated. I tried that; it doesn't work. You have to get sleep, a lot of it, if you want to compete at a high level. Winning and losing, right? Balancing that is critical. We were fortunate to enough to win a lot of games here, but I hate losing like any of you else that compete. But you have to balance it, right? Otherwise things are going to get off balance. And when they're off balance, I've seen it personally with people close to me, and it can get dangerous. But I think there's a strange thing between humility and confidence. And how do you balance that, right? To become the best leader, the best person, to strive to have the most success you want to have in your life. Brooke and I struggle with balance sometimes in our family life, right? With the kids and balancing how much time we can spend with them, how much time I have to spend with my career. I look at her sitting down there and just I can't even imagine the type of sacrifice that it takes to do what she does, which is to put her career aside and to stay home with our boys, to raise them so we can provide balance to their life. And I thank you for that. Chad talked about, my ability to pass and make others better, and JP hit on it too. That's the only reason I'm standing here. I didn't score a lot of points. I didn't need to. If you look at that table over there, all these trees that stand up, those guys are the reason why I'm standing up here. And we had such camaraderie in the 3 seasons I was here with most of those guys and several other guys that aren't here. And we had a tremendous amount of balance between what we did on and off the court. We were brothers. All 12 or 15 of us every year, And it was special. It still is special. Influence, I talked about that. I am privileged that I was able to play and fall in love like Shay did with volleyball. I did with basketball at a young age. My father was the first coach I ever had. I remember the exact gym, the exact moment when I was in 3rd grade, and he walked me up to play my first organized basketball team. And he gave me that pleasure to do that. He coached me for 2 years, and then he did the greatest thing, I think, that a father could ever do. He moved us to Illinois. No offense, man. Wisconsin's a great state. But we moved to Illinois in 1990, and Chad talked about the jump man on the wall. But to grow up from 5th grade to graduate high school from 1990 to 1998, those of you that are MJ fans realize what happened in that 8-year period. And the type of influence that team and winning had on my life at a young age was incredible. So I knew in middle school that all I wanted to do was play basketball. So I started creating a discipline. I'll get into what my thoughts are on discipline in a little bit, but how can I accomplish what I wanted to do, which was to not pay for college and not have debt and be able to do different things in my life with it, which this game has allowed me to do. After my dad, I then got the privilege of playing for our custodian in my 5th and 6th grade years. Coach Pete Slattery volunteered to coach a little hoops and kind of knew what he was doing. But he worked hard, really hard, at his job. We watched him every day. He was cleaning up after us, and then we'd get in the gym and he'd make us work hard. And then Coach Rigoni, 7th and 8th grade here. In the Midwest, in Illinois specifically, I think Kentucky, you guys claim that Kentucky has the best hoops, and they might, but Illinois, it's all about fundamentals, and you learn that at a young age, and it's helped me. When I got into high school and played for Coach Sharp and Coach Tingley, Coach Tingley taught me dedication to continue to work and stay after practice and continue to get shots and reps. Coach Little pulled me up on the varsity in the largest school in the state of Illinois at the time. We had 5,000 students in our school, and I got to play varsity for him for 3 years. He was from Indiana, and they would also claim that they get better basketball than Kentucky. I've been really privileged for whatever reason to play for coaches that care about me, but also want to make me a better player. Throughout AAU, where my dad also sacrificed weekends and resources to allow me to play on a travel team and move around the Midwest. And he coached some of that too, along with Coach Lewis. And then I chose to leave Illinois and go very far away, which at times, I see the strain that put on my family for, being 17, 18-hour drive, which is what they usually did to come see me play when they could. And I went to Ocala and played for a legendary coach, Coach Gene Smithson, who truly taught me what discipline was. I thought I knew a little bit about discipline on the basketball court until I played for Coach Smithson and Coach Kennan. But Coach Smithson taught me how to play every drill at game speed, the entire practice, the entire year, constantly at game speed. And he would let you know if you didn't, verbally, abusively sometimes. And the first time I met Rachel Ritter, who was probably in 4th or 5th grade at the time, we were playing at Daytona Beach Community College, Daytona State now. The coach came over to recruit me and sat 2 rows behind our bench. And I kind of noticed him a little bit. I definitely noticed, a couple minutes into the game that they were sitting at the back end of the wall because he didn't want her little virgin ears to hear all this cussing going on the pitch. But Coach Smithson taught me discipline. There's no question about it when it comes to going after your goals and how hard you have to work to get there. And Coach Rob Graham found me somehow in Ocala and started talking to me and sending me letters. And the reason I went to junior college is because I couldn't make it at the D1 level in Illinois. Could be a preferred walk-on, but again, I mentioned I didn't want to pay for college. And so I chose to pass on that and come down to sunny Florida. And Coach Graham started talking to me more, and I never heard of Embry-Riddle. I didn't know what it was. He sent me an email late in the season to turn on I think it was called the Sunshine Network back then, when Austin was leading the 98-99 team with Cruz and a lot of those guys playing in the Sunshine State Conference Championship, and I didn't even turn it on, guys. I'm sorry. I was like, dude, Kentucky, you're probably playing. I didn't turn it on and watch it, but Coach Graham finally convinced me to just take a visit and come to the beach and just check out campus. The season was over already. I finished my 1 year. I was eligible to, I was there because of athletics, not because of academics. And, could have went to other schools, but the second I stepped foot on this campus and was able to meet Coach Ritter, and I got to give some credit to Maury Husini, because I was in a conversation with Austin Brownlee and Matt Wilson and Owen Bush recently, and Matt asked the three of us, if there was one thing you could have when you were a student athlete here, what would it be? And Owen, before Matt even finished the sentence, said the ICI Center. So we had, the ICI Center was here, and when I walked in that building, it was like, okay, Coach Kennan told me this was pretty much like a D1 program, at least run like one, and when you walk over and see the facilities, it'll feel like one to you, and it did. And then when I met Coach, I talk about influence. Besides my parents, I don't think there's anyone that's influenced my life. I know there's none, besides you, Coach. And in the most positive, professional, friendly manner you could ever do it. A lot's happened in the game of basketball, college basketball, since I graduated. And you never know, you turn on the TV and see that your coach of the school that you follow is arrested or fined or being kicked out of the school. But none of us ever have to worry about that with Coach, because he does things the right way. And he instills those values in us too. And then I met Vicki after I'd already committed. And I found out the real reason why the Ritter family is so special. The way that she would bring, I'm sure that the current team and the teams, obviously, that come after me, into their home for Thanksgiving, because we were usually playing a Thanksgiving tournament. And that was a little different for me, because we have a close family, and with the Callises or the Rothrocks, we would be together for Thanksgiving. But for whatever reason, we didn't always have a lot of friends. It was family, right? They had their small family, but then they had, 18 hungry teenagers coming too, and it was like, that's normal, which was awesome. And then meeting Ryan, Rachel, and Rob, and Reed, and getting to know that family. I think Reed was the age of Banks when I first met him. It's just, you guys have influenced my life more than you even know. And my family realizes that, and it's really like a second family. So now Thanksgiving, who cares? Everybody's in, and it's awesome. The fans at this university that support our athletics program are incredible too, and all the faculty and staff, and anyone that's played here and walked through these doors and been a part of it for 1, 2, 3, 4 years know that. And there's too many people to name. The hugs and they used to be able to buy us dinner. I don't think they can do that anymore, right? Yeah. that's off the table. But just welcoming us on campus, you know, for 18, 19, 20-year-old individual, our hearts are open. We are very influenced by a lot of things. And when you get a lot of outside impact like the university has created here, of positive influences on us, it helps a lot. And that's why I think JP was talking about all the success after sports that this institution is able to realize with their student athletes. I think that's why. It's a big part of it is the people. I know for a fact, I mean, I like baseball, Jay, don't get me wrong, but basketball is my sport, but I can't help but think about what happened in 2016 and watching our boys jump on the Cubs bandwagon with us and being influenced by them winning the World Series, and they've heard it from their grandfathers on both sides, that doesn't usually happen, right? I mean, they don't comprehend 108 years right now, but they're probably going to end up being baseball players, and I'm okay with that. We're trying to learn the sport a little bit more. But I want to challenge you all, because I think that every day, no matter how old you are, you're influenced by things that we see, we read, we flip on the screen all the time, right? You have the choice to look at what you look at and spend your time doing what you do. But the part that I want to challenge you on is, how many people are looking at you and us? And are we living the right way to influence them purposefully in a positive manner? I know as a parent, we got 4 little eyes watching us all the time. And I don't do a good enough job of influencing them in the right manner. But I'm going to try harder. And I know Brooke has the same intentions that I do. Do you mind pulling up that picture real quick for me? I know, I think some of my siblings are probably looking at this as she was flipping through the screen. I'm like, what the heck is that doing up there? I think the astute person in this audience can actually see the giant giraffes behind us. But those of you that are like me can't get past the shorts that we're wearing. Look at them. Is it clear? All 4 of them. Mine are a little dark. Our mother influenced us in so many ways to use the right side of our brain and get creative. I don't think they had Michaels in the mid-'80s. You know, the store where you can get any crack type thing. But wherever she took us was like, look at all this cloth. Pick out your favorite design. 2 of them sometimes. And I'm going to bring it home and I'm going to sew it right in front of you. And put pockets on there and everything. Look at Trisha's little shorts. Polka dots with the stripes. But she would do that with her own hands. And we watched that happen. And we didn't even think anything about it. Until now. When we look back at these pictures. But what happened throughout that, what we learned, what we were influenced by from her, was the ability to use our creative minds. She was never going to tell us no, no matter how we looked. That's not a fake background. This is a public zoo. I love you, Mom. We all love you so much. Because we think we can do whatever we want. And usually we accomplish it. You can take it down. Thank you. See, Chad, I told you I had something coming for you too. Let me speak on discipline for a few minutes and then I'll wrap up. I've heard people say, or ask the question, is discipline, are people born with it? Or is it a learned behavior? And I've read in Proverbs that if you teach a young person how to act, that they won't stray from it when they get older. And I believe that, so I think it's learned. And I'll tell you, from having some of it in my life, mainly because my father grew up on a dairy farm and never had one day off in his life, and worked every single day, learning from his father and working with his brother. I think that's why the Catholic people started to farm because they knew they could have a lot of children, because they needed children, because they didn't have a day off. And so they'd come in behind them and just continue to work all day on the farm. But my dad's discipline is unlike anything I've ever seen. And going back to balance for a second, there's one thing about physical balance. And as Brooke and I and our families, get to sit here and watch physical balance get altered a little bit, we can see the balance that these people have in their hearts with their faith and with their family and with their friends, and that the physical part means nothing. Having discipline is tough. Teaching discipline is tougher. I'm happy to talk to any parent out here. Tell me how you discipline your children. Look at Brooke right now, trying to discipline Banks. That kid hasn't sat in his own chair in like 2 hours. But you know what the funny thing about discipline is? If you don't have it, you can't teach it. Because it's not something you do once or twice. Good gosh, you gotta do it every single day. And I don't know when I go over the hump. My parents would probably tell you I'm still working on it. Hopefully it's once you get into the teen or high school ages, they'll really pick up on it. But I can't tell you how critical it is in your life. You all know that. Anyone that's had success knows what true discipline means. For those of us that are fortunate enough to work for Brown & Brown, probably one of the most disciplined companies on Wall Street. Most of us have had a chance to spend some time with our chairman, Hyatt Brown, and to go into little mentoring sessions with him. And he draws everything on the board in terms of faith, your family, balance, your health, discipline. What's the most important? And it's interesting to hear everybody's thoughts on that. And he always ties it back and listens professionally and then tells us all, in only the way Hyatt can, that you're all wrong and that discipline is the most important thing. Because without discipline, your family can't function the right way. Your health can't be where it needs to be. Whatever it may be, discipline is the principle, in my opinion, of anything that's going to create someone to be successful. In closing, I want to thank the institution. I want to thank Professor Rollins and Professor Graham for being here tonight, because you guys definitely influenced me in the classroom, along with a lot of other professors. I want to thank the institution. I want to thank the athletic department for bestowing this distinct honor on me. I don't think it's deserved. I think when we went in as a team, that's where the buck should have stopped with me. But I do want to leave you with this one thought. I've been thinking about it a lot recently. I read it in a book by a guy named John. It's in chapter 3, verse 30, and it simply states, "He must become more important while I become less important." Thank you very much.